With new anime being aired and released every season, it can sometimes become a little overwhelming when you're still in the middle of finishing up series that are already in your watch list. The same goes for all the manga that you're reading, regardless of whether these are physical copies or digital. In this episode, we are looking at MyAnimeList, or MAL for short. MyAnimeList is a great tool for both newcomers and longtime fans of anime and manga, where you have a place to A. manage all the series that you've ever read or watched, B. keep track of your progress for each one that you're reading or watching, C. read up on news and updates for all the series that you're into, and most importantly, D. find more anime and manga based on the stuff that you like. When you break down MAL for what it actually is, it's nothing but a huge anime and manga database. But this is also one of the biggest reasons why I've always depended on MAL. Regardless of what you're trying to hunt down, it's pretty much guaranteed it has a listing for just about any series released to date in the industry. The cool thing is that you can pinpoint a series by its English or Japanese name when doing a search, as well as any popular abbreviations. You can find all the metadata relevant to the series, including its premiere dates, studio, genre, and even voice actors. An added plus is that all the related anime series are listed on the page as well, so you don't need to dig through the internet looking for any special episodes, movies, or spin-offs of anything that you may have missed. So once you signed up for an account, you can start adding and tracking any anime or manga. Your lists are basically categorized by currently watching, completed, on hold, dropped, and plan to watch. For each series that you add, you can update things such as the episode that you're on, your score out of 10 if you've already watched it, the storage type, assuming you own a copy of it, and whether you'd want to post it to your social media. And of course, if you're an enthusiast about your statistics, you can even get a glimpse of how many total episodes you've watched over your lifetime, as well as days you've spent from your lifespan watching anime. You can do the same thing for your manga list as well. Because it's been around for over 16 years, MyAnimeList has built up a pretty big active community. For example, the forum's activity is always booming, especially if you've been following any new ongoing anime. But if you're used to something like Reddit, don't expect immediate interactions since the UI for discussions is not nearly as snappy. However, due to the overwhelming size of MAL's user base, recommendations is really where it brings out its potential, since you will find thousands of instances where anime and manga fans like yourself will make suggestions based on what they've watched or read. You can also step into each listing to read up on countless user reviews, but do take this with a grain of salt, because a lot of times people can expect too much from a series, which will drag its overall rating down with each new misleading review. Last but not least, your anime and manga lists are also portable from MAL. So in other words, you can take your lists and just about anything you've tracked along with it and export it to an XML file. Why is this important? Well, let's say I've clicked export and chose my list of anime. I can then download the zipped archive, extract the XML, and then use something like this online to convert it to an Excel file or a spreadsheet, which gives me this when I either use Excel or Google Sheets. So at this point, I can either integrate it with my personal projects or simply share it with someone that doesn't need to use MyAnimeList to see what I've been reading or watching. So I hope this video either helped you learn one way to track your anime and manga, or at least learn something new about MAL that you didn't know before. There are other sites out there that help you do the same level of functionality that MAL does, but the reason why I lean towards MyAnimeList more so than the others is because 16 years of data means you get a lot more user discussions and feedback with a much bigger pool of reviews compared to some of the others. And also, don't forget, MAL has a mobile app as well, so you can manage your lists and discover new anime and manga on the go. Thanks for watching, and for more on anime and manga, please consider subscribing to this channel.